Why do we hate spare time? Up next. Welcome to the pit. I'm Travis from Snakeden Entertainment, Samara, Endbringer, and here's a guy that has more things at the end of his name than I do. Dave Mayerski, formerly of Final Stand, formerly of Forever Means Goodbye, currently in Endbringer, currently in Brace for Impact, the 1054 North American liaison for their 1054 records, and the head behind the Upstage Music Fest and the Upstage itself. Finally, I get to have somebody from my band on the show. I've had a YouTube channel for quite a while now, and this is the first time I've ever got to talk about not just my band, but our band.
Yeah, and I appreciate you giving me the time to speak about things like that.
Dude, I appreciate you giving me your time, because as you people out there don't know, all those little things that we say at the end of our name for the intro, those are different jobs that we have. Like, it takes time. So
Absolutely.
And it takes, we spend time with our families, friends, that kind of stuff. Yeah, real jobs. So anyway, Dave, we're gonna go through a little bit of your history and then bring us up to present day. You're the drummer in Endbringer and the drummer in Brace for Impact currently. What I need to know is what made you want to play drums? What made you want to play this style of music?
Honestly, we're going back to like 1996. I was going to shows, well, probably 95, 96. I was going to shows, and there were some local bands. I left 969. 969 had just started out. I was like, damn, man. Like, I always wanted to play in a band, and it's just got my creative juices going even more. I had some like-minded friends that wanted to jam as well. I wanted to play guitar and sing, so did everybody else. And I was like, son of a bitch. So I got suckered into playing drums, and it's stuck ever since. I played with my first band, being Society's Problem, and then from there went from Final Stand to Forever Means Goodbye. Had a gap of like 10 years and filled in for the guys from 969 band. Had another band, Fistful of Hate, No Witness, filled in for them. Not doing a whole lot, and then that led up to Endbringer and Brace for Impact.
Yeah, it was a trip because we crossed paths just at a whim. Like, the guitar player from Endbringer, shout out to Brad. I don't know if he's internet savvy today, he might not be, but I jammed with Brad and a few other, and you and Ed were in Forever Means Goodbye and Final Stand, and you and Ed started jamming, which led to him dragging Brad in, which led to dragging me in, and I tell you what, I was in the same mode you were in with the big gap. What might not have been quite as big, it was only a couple of years, but like, just, I felt like that was it, that I was done, and then you had, for our first 3 songs, you already had them like ironed out. Like the arrangements were there, the beats just needed lyrics, and
yeah, it was a good start. I figured like, so I had some downtime, and I knew we were bringing in a singer, and I knew about you from Brad and Ed, and so I wrote 3 songs, thinking, I mean, it didn't have to be those 3, but just to get something started, and then we went with it.
yeah, the bass for Endbringer is nuts. How it just accidental, and what really made everything work was your second to none work ethic. Like, it's not very often that I'm in a band where dudes are outworking me. Like, I'm the guy that's like, I'm always the guy in the band that like does the order and handles all that, and everybody else, like, to have a second guy and a guy that does more and knew more. Like, some of the things that I've learned just from what, Endbringer's been together 3 years.
Yeah.
Just in that 3 short years, some of the things I've learned and how the difference between the hardcore scene in Clearfield and the metal scene in L County.
Oh,
how
it's different worlds.
Yeah, and we're only half hour apart. So
different.
What are some of the highlights? Just a handful of highlights from one from each band, if there is one.
Final Stand. Oh Jesus, there's quite a bit. I mean, we've had a lot of fun with those bands, and Final Stand was fairly short-lived. It was only like borderlining 3 years. We had to change our name to Forever Means Goodbye. Legalities. I guess that's when you know that you're doing something right.
When people are paying attention.
I mean, Final Stand, we did a few road dates with Hate Breed, Town Concrete, Chimera, The Hoods, Bury Your Dead, Unearth. I mean, we did quite a bit of stuff with that. Skinless. So then, when we went over to Forever Means Goodbye, which basically was the same band, Bryce, our singer from Final Stand, he was probably in Forever Means Goodbye for maybe a year until Dave Still took over. Not Without Resistance at that time when it ended. Dave came in, and we changed our sound a lot to more of like an emo metal. So,
emo metal,
yeah,
I like that.
Another way to put it. So with Forever Means Goodbye, we did a lot of shows with On Broken Wings, Remembering Never, bands in that genre. I'm sure I'll listen to Slow On, but it's definitely been fun. I mean, we've been so many places, and it's been a great time. Our good friends in Redline, New Jersey, great friends. We teamed up with them in Final Stand and did a tour with them, and it was great. Really remember.
I mean, part of that is just seriously the experience, because back then you don't know anything, you're learning, coming up.
You don't have no social media, really.
Oh yeah, this is pre-social media, kids, so jot that down.
Yeah, so to like get shows, you either have to play shows, or it's word of mouth, or flyers, or phone calls. It's not like sending a text and popping an Instagram and
shooting it up on Facebook. Yeah, get the snail mail, sending the letters, like literally sending your demos.
Letters back then.
All right, fast forward to the now. How did you end up becoming the North American liaison for 1054 Records?
Really what happened there was, so Peter from 1054 was...
Shout out to Peter in 1054.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking back and forth in regards to releasing Grace for Impact album. And
which, if you ain't got that yet, it is for sale. TheUpstageMusicFest.com.
Thanks for the plug.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he saw the website and I guess appreciated my work ethic, saw what I've done in the past, knew that I was hustling.
Yeah, not to cut you off, dude, but it's hard not to notice that if working with you in any capacity, like that's the first thing you notice is about how you're just nose to the grindstone the whole time. There is a goal there, and you attack it like it's your civil duty.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a guilty pleasure.
It's definitely something that it's inspired me a little bit to kind of get off my ass a little bit more too.
Yeah, so he reached out to me and asked if I would distro the 1054 items in North America. I said, that sounds great. So I have a bunch of, we're at the Clearfield Fair right now in our booth representing the Upstage Music Fest.
By the time this hits the airwaves, the fair will be closed, but should there be a day or two, hey, we're under the grandstand, check us out.
Yeah. So I have a bunch of vinyls, records, CDs, t-shirts, and we have our 1054 records spot with all the releases that were released on.
And it's labeled clearly, Peter, this guy ain't slouching. He's representing 1054.
Yeah. You know what you're getting.
But with that, the cool thing about a guy in my band being the North American liaison is I've gotten to work with so many really cool bands from like Scarfold from Canada, Extinguish the Code. I don't know, were they a 1054 band originally, or did we work with them beforehand?
No, they were 1054. When we first started linking up with them, they had just been on 1054.
Yes, so like in a way, like the work that you put into the stuff you get to do, because I'm fortunate enough to be in a band with you, it leads over into some really cool experiences for me. So for that, I mean, not to sit here and huff your bird on camera, but for that, I'm appreciative of all that. Yeah. Which brings us to the main course, the Upstage Music Fest. Now, to give you a little bit of history, the Upstage was a garage that Dave ran his landscaping business out of. That we used to practice there, we rehearsed there, and on a whim, Dave said, let's have like a party and make it like a show, like back in the day, a DIY show. We'll charge admission to get in, we'll split it up amongst the bands. And it's blown up into this festival where we've had sworn enemy. We've had bands from all over the northeastern United States. And this year, Life of Agony and Sick of It All, like, I go back to when I got into Life of Agony way late. I go back to when I was in the Army and I discovered them on a Roadrunner Records comp. And if you would have told me, I don't know, 18 years ago that, yeah, I'd be in the same building as them. Like, yeah. So, the work that goes into it, and you've got to have a sense of pride about that. Like, explain to me what brought you to doing the Upstage Fest, and then explain to me where you hope the Upstage Fest goes, and like how it makes you feel when all of us are like not really hanging at your coattails, but we're all like behind you, like circling the wagons for whatever you need whenever you're doing this stuff.
Pennsylvania's always been, especially central Pennsylvania, has always been a mecca for like hardcore music. And nothing has really happened around here centrally for several years, early 2000s. So when we did the Upstage in the garage and invited bands, and of course that grew into more bands and bigger bands and getting a following, so we built it up. And I was thinking, I can't remember if Travis Hudson was the one that said he's guitars for Brace for Impact. Used to be guitars for
Bell Beavis.
Yeah, not without resistance.
He was not. I didn't know he was in Not Without Resistance too.
I don't know who it was. One of us brought it up about we should have a fest. But anyhow, I was thinking all these bands that I brought in to the Upstage in the garage, we should have a fest with just them. Just something small and local. Well, that built into something. What's up, man? That built into something bigger. I mean, we're on our third year, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. And where I plan for it to go is even bigger, more national acts. We were on the. Right now, we're in a like a full building, concrete floor, metal sides, 2 stages. There's about 1,000 people.
Yeah.
We're gonna get that filled up, and then we go outside on the big main stage. I don't know what that's 7,000 people. So the possibilities for this are endless. We have the venue to have something like this at our disposal, like a mile away from where I live. So it could definitely happen.
I mean, just in the 3 short years that you've been running this, watching this thing grow from its infancy to where it's at now, it's also a testament to the bands that we surround ourselves with, that we associate with, because each band has their own dudes that put in the work. Like it's not just you from Brace for Impact. Like the other guys put in it, like Carl and Dave Steele, like Hudson, like, and it's not just. Like everybody takes their turns working the booth with the distro, and the bands, every band that's on Upstage, the bands from around here always have a spot at the table here to sell their own merch and their own wares. Like,
that's what it's about. Yeah.
It's just been, like I said, nothing short of awesome. And I just wanted to take 15, 20 minutes out of your day to let you have a platform. I mean, I know I don't have the most massive following in the world, but the fact that you can get word out there about the things that you do, because, like I said, working with you the last couple of years has been nothing short of
the coolest thing about all this is pretty much like 99% of my friends aren't his, and the same thing. So when I do something like in the hardcore realm or whatever, and it goes through him and Snakeden, it gets picked up by his side, and likewise, and then it just spreads. And it works out really well. And another cool thing about the hardcore community is how I was saying 99% of my friends aren't his. Well, I mean, they intermeshed through like Endbringer playing together, them doing interviews for the Upstage Music Fest DVD, and now he knows all that people. That's just how it works.
Learning about the whole hardcore scene and the way you come up in the band, it's like a whole new world, dude. So like, I definitely have to thank you for opening that avenue.
It's
for
different. I
me.
mean, we all look out for each other differently than any other scene, really, that I can speak of. Because, like, I mean,
there's
promote, just help each other.
there's some of that in the metal scene where I come up through, but it's a whole different vibe. Like, the hardcore guys take the DIY stuff like that's their bread and butter. That's why they all back to back. You know, you watch my back, I'll watch yours, because everybody is like so ingrained with the DIY and coming up independent, which is super cool. It lets you know that everybody, at least one guy from each band, has a work ethic in there.
And I think it's definitely changed, like late '90s, early 2000s when I started. I mean, it was like brotherhood. I think really because of the internet and social media and stuff, and it just kind of like just really spread out. I mean, the brotherhood and all that's still there, but it's just not, I don't know, it's just a little different.
Well, it's a modern era too. And another thing that I did notice is the after the end of the show post, the first time I've ever been involved in that was at a hardcore show 3 years ago. And I've been noticing lately that the metal bands have started adopting that with all the bands get together at the end of the night, and then they take the picture with the whole
That's been a thing forever.
And that's what you said back when I was like, wow, I've never seen that before. Like, dude, we've been doing that since the '90s. Where you been? But so Dave, once again, I appreciate you taking the time. Look up everything Dave's a part of at www.theupstagemusicfest.com. Check them out on Facebook, Upstage Music Fest, or just the Upstage, and the Upstage Music Group. Endbringer, 1054 Records, Brace for Impact. Like, it just, you'll find them somewhere out there, or check any of the Snakeden pages. We're sharing that stuff. So once again, Dave, thanks a lot. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for the time.
Take it easy. We're out of here.
Thanks.